The vast emptiness of space was silent, cold, and endless. Against that dark ocean, a single human ship drifted like a broken toy. Its name was the Horizon. Inside, alarms blared in sharp, panic bursts. Red lights flashed along the narrow corridors, painting everything in crimson. The smell of burnt circuits and melting plastic hung in the air. Captain Elena Voss stood on the bridge, her jaw tight, her eyes fixed on the flickering control screens. "Status report," she barked. Her crew scrambled, hands flying over manual switches and touchscreens, but nothing responded. "It's no good, Captain," her engineer, Marcus Lee, said, sweat running down his forehead. "The main engines are dead. Thrusters too. Some kind of external interference. It's like we're caught in a tractor beam, but different." The ship shuddered violently, tossing them against their chairs. Outside the viewport, a massive shadow emerged, so large it seemed to swallow the stars. The crew gasped. It wasn't a natural formation. It was a station, but no station built by humans. The structure was a sprawling labyrinth of black metal spires, glowing with eerie blue veins of energy. It rotated slowly, almost alive, its strange geometry defying human understanding. It looked ancient and alien, and deeply hostile. Marcus's voice trembled. We didn't detect anything like this on our scans." "That's because it wasn't meant to be detected," Elena said grimly. "Whatever that thing is, it's pulling us in." The Horizon lurched forward, dragged toward a massive, claw-like docking bay. Metal arms extended, reaching to clamp down on the human ship, like a predator seizing its prey. Elena's heart pounded, but her voice stayed calm. "Cut all power. No signals. No weapons. If they think we're dead in the water, they might ignore us." The lights aboard the ship dimmed to darkness. For a moment, only the faint glow of emergency strips remained, painting the crew's faces pale white. Everyone held their breath as the alien station swallowed them whole. Through the viewport, shadows moved. Towering, insect-like creatures walked along the platform outside. Their bodies were tall and thin, with multiple jointed limbs and angular armor that glistened like obsidian. Their heads were elongated, their eyes glowing with cold intelligence. They were the Vryloks, a species no human had ever seen before. The creatures gathered around the Horizon, clicking and growling in a guttural alien language. Their voices echoed like knives scraping against stone. One of them tilted its head, studying the silent human ship. "Primitive craft," one hissed in its native tongue. "These creatures reach space? Impossible." Another alien let out a deep, rattling laugh. "Their world must be weak. Soft, dirt-dwellers who play at exploration." The group laughed together, their mocking sound vibrating through the metal walls of the human vessel. Inside, Elena and her crew stayed silent, pressed against the walls. Even Marcus, who normally couldn't stop talking, kept his lips sealed. The crew's medic, Tara Quinn, gripped a small emergency knife, her knuckles white. "Captain," she whispered, barely audible, "what if they come inside?" Elena's eyes narrowed. "Then we make them regret it," she said, though her tone betrayed a sliver of fear. The aliens didn't enter, yet. Instead, they attached strange devices to the hull of the Horizon. The ship rattled as cables drilled into its surface. Through the viewport, Elena watched as glowing symbols appeared on the alien station's walls. Marcus whispered, "They are scanning us, probably trying to read our systems." Elena nodded. "Good. Let them think we're helpless." The aliens spoke again outside, their conversation picked up faintly by the ship's audio sensors. "No power signatures detected. The vessel is dead. Strip it for parts. Study the creatures later." Agreed. They posed no threat. The words were harsh and mocking, though the crew didn't need translation to know the meaning. The body language alone was clear. They were being dismissed, treated like animals. Marcus clenched his fists. "They think we're nothing. Just trash to tear apart." Elena placed a steady hand on his shoulder. "Let them keep thinking that. It's the only advantage we have." Minutes stretched into what felt like hours as the Horizon was pulled deeper into the alien station. The massive doors sealed shut behind them with a boom that shook the airlocks. Inside the alien structure, it was even worse. Strange blue lights pulsed through the walls like veins. The atmosphere hummed with a low, throbbing sound that made the crew's teeth ache. Elena could see more of Rylog's figures through the external cameras. Hundreds of them, all armed with strange, jagged weapons that glimmered with energy. The sheer scale of the enemy was terrifying. Tara's voice cracked as she spoke. "Captain, there's no way out. We're surrounded. Even if we fight, we'll die here." Elena stared at the swirling blue lights, thinking fast. "No," she said finally. "We don't fight their way. We fight ours." The crew turned toward her, confused. Elena's eyes were sharp, cold with determination. They think strength is the only thing that matters. But strength isn't everything. Marcus frowned. "Then what do we have?" Elena allowed herself the smallest of smiles. "Our brains," she said, "and the fact they've already made their first mistake." Tara swallowed. "What mistake?" Elena's voice dropped to a whisper. "They underestimated us." Outside, the alien leader observed the horizon with contempt. To the Vryloks, this was nothing more than a simple hunt, a routine capture of insignificant creatures. The leader turned to his soldiers and clicked his mandibles in final judgment. "Bring the vessel apart. Gather the specimens. There is no danger here." But inside the silent human ship, Elena Voss and her crew were already preparing a plan that would turn the hunters into the hunted. The trap had been set. The only question was who had truly walked into it. The alien station's command chamber was vast and shadowed, a cathedral of cold, gleaming metal. Towering pillars curved upward, etched with glowing runes that pulsed like a heartbeat. From the ceiling, crystalline structures hung down, humming softly with power. At the center of the room stood Overseer Kryvek, the Vryloks leader. His exoskeletal frame was massive, his limbs armored with jagged black plates that reflected the eerie blue light. His glowing yellow eyes swept across a circular holographic display, showing the horizon locked in their docking bay. Kryvek's mandibles clicked in irritation. "So fragile, so crude," he said, his voice echoing through the chamber like grinding stone. "This ship is nothing more than scrap held together by primitive welds and luck. These creatures barely deserve to be called sentient." Dozens of smaller Vrylok soldiers stood at attention along the walls, their heads bowed in obedience. To them, Kryvek's word was law. One of the younger scientists, Shriksa, hesitated before speaking. She was slimmer than the others, her armor marked with green symbols that indicated her role as a researcher. Her voice trembled slightly as she addressed the Overseer. "Overseer Kryvek, forgive my doubt, but they built this vessel. They traveled through the void of space to reach us. Shouldn't that mean they possess at least some level of intelligence?" Kryvek turned his head sharply toward her, his eyes glowing brighter. The entire room went silent. "Do you dare suggest these Dote-dwellers are our equals?" Kryvek hissed. "Their kind crawled out of a single gravity well, and now they stumble blindly into our domain. Intelligence? No. This is a behavior of animals wandering into a trap they cannot comprehend." Shriksa lowered her head quickly, bowing in submission. "Of course, Overseer. I meant no insult." Kryvek let out a guttural, rattling laugh that chilled even his own soldiers. "Do not waste thought on them. Their arrival here is a gift. We will strip their craft for study, dissect their bodies, and learn what little we can. Perhaps their primitive biology will amuse us." The soldiers clattered their limbs together in agreement, a sound like metal scraping metal. Far below the command chamber, in the docking bay, a group of Vryloks technicians worked tirelessly. Their spindly hands connected glowing tubes to the horizon, draining what little power remained in the human vessel. Screens filled with alien glyphs showed ship schematics spinning in midday. "No power signatures. System completely offline," one technician reported. "They are helpless." "Good," another replied, laughing harshly. "Less work for us. These creatures have no understanding of real technology." The humans, hidden deep inside their own darkened ship, heard none of this directly. But Elena and her crew watched through tiny observation slits, studying every alien movement, memorizing patterns and weaknesses. Their faces remained expressionless, like hunters stalking prey. Back in the alien control chamber, Shriksa tried once more to speak her mind. Her voice was careful, almost timid. Oversee, forgive me again. Their ship's design is strange. It lacks the energy cores or neural networks we use. Yet, somehow, it functions. That suggests adaptability, resourcefulness. Kryvek waved one massive claw dismissively. Resourcefulness is a crutch of the weak. We, the Vryloks, need no such thing. Our power is absolute. Their crude tools and accidental inventions are meaningless against our might. He rose to his full height, towering over everyone in the chamber. Mark my words, Shriksa, these creatures will never surprise us. They lack the vision, the creativity, and the cunning required to challenge a superior race. This is a routine capture, nothing more. The soldiers roared their agreement. A chorus of clattering limbs and guttural growls echoed through the station. Shriksa fell silent, but her mandibles twitched uneasily. Something deep inside her told her the overseer was wrong. These humans were strange. Their ship was crude, yes, but there was a deliberate simplicity to it, as though it had been built to hide complexity beneath the surface. But Shriksa kept her doubts to herself. Speaking them again would mean death. Meanwhile, in the docking bay, a Vrylok guard patrolled near the horizon. He noticed faint scratches on the ship's hull, marks that hadn't been there before. Pausing, he tilted his head, clicking curiously. Strange, he muttered. Perhaps the metal is degrading already. He reported his observation to his superior, but the response was dismissive. Irrelevant. The vessel is powerless. Nothing inside could possibly harm us. The guard reluctantly moved on, unaware that those scratches were coded signals, etched by Marcus using nothing but a sharpened piece of metal from a broken console. Each mark was part of the human silent communication system, messages the aliens couldn't even begin to understand. Inside the horizon, Elena read the markings through a viewport slit and gave a barely perceptible nod. The crew's plan were progressing perfectly. The aliens still believed they were weak, harmless, insignificant, exactly as the humans wanted. Back in the command chamber, Kryvek issued his final orders. Begin dismantling their ship immediately. Prepare the holding cells for the creatures. Their study will begin soon. He leaned forward, his voice dropping to a chilling whisper. And when we are finished, erase their world from the star maps. Let their species vanish without ever leaving a mark on the galaxy. The soldiers cheered, slamming their limbs against the floor in savage unison. To them, this was already over, a clean, easy victory. But Shriksa watched silently, her unease growing. The humans had not struggled. They had not begged or panicked. They had simply gone still. It was almost as if they were waiting. As the station's lights pulsed with cold, alien energy, deep within the shadows of their captured ship, the humans began to move. Slowly, silently, patient hunters preparing for the perfect strike. The Vryloks thought they were dealing with simple animals. But soon, they would learn the most dangerous lesson of all. Never underestimate a human. The horizon was silent, completely dark, save for the faint red glow of the emergency lights that barely lit the cramped interior. It felt like the inside of a tomb. Captain Elena Voss crouched in the narrow corridor near the engine room, listening carefully. Beyond the thick metal walls, she could hear the rhythmic thud of alien machinery and the faint, insect-like clicking of the Vrylok's guards. The alien station seemed to breathe around them, its pulsating blue energy flowing like veins through a living creature. Her crew huddled around her in the darkness. Marcus Lee, their engineer, Tara Quinn, their medic, Jonas Reeve, weapons specialist, and Novid, the communications officer. All of them were exhausted, bruised, and terrified, but their eyes burned with determination. Elena's voice was low, steady, commanding. Status update. Quietly. Marcus, crouched beside a mess of wires and scraps, spoke first. The aliens completely drained our power core. We can't move the ship. But he held up a small, crude device no bigger than a fist. I managed to salvage enough from our life support systems to rig a manual thruster. One shot only. Won't last more than 3 seconds. Jonas frowned. 3 seconds won't get us far in space. Marcus gave him a sharp look. It doesn't need to. It just has to look convincing. Elena nodded approvingly. Good work. Keep it hidden until I give the order. Tara leaned forward, whispering anxiously. Captain, these creatures, They're everywhere. Hundreds of them. Even if we got out of here, they'd chase us down. We need more than luck. Elena met her gaze, calm and unflinching. Luck won't save us, she said. But strategy might. From her pocket, she pulled out a small piece of bent metal. It looked useless, just junk stripped from a hull. But when she placed it on the floor, she began sketching crude maps in the dust and soot. These are the patrol patterns Marcus has been observing from the maintenance cameras, she explained. He's been leaving marks on the hull whenever the guards shift positions. Jonas stayed, impressed despite himself. You did that with just scratches on the ship? Old school communication. Marcus smirked faintly. They don't even see them as language. Just random damage. Naveed added softly, I've been monitoring their movements through sound. Their steps create a rhythm, like music. If we know the beat, we can move when they pause. Elena tapped the map. Exactly. They think we're blind and deaf. They think their advanced tech makes them untouchable. But their arrogance is our weapon. For a moment, the crew sat in tense silence. Then Jonas asked a question that had been hanging in the air since the moment they were captured. What's the endgame here? Captain? Even if we sneak out, we're still inside a massive alien station surrounded by soldiers. How do we actually escape? Elena's lips curved into the faintest hint of a smile. We don't need to fight them head-on. We just need to convince them to fight themselves. The others exchanged confused glances. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Explain. They think we're weak, right? Harmless. Elena's voice was sharp, focused. So we'll play that role. We'll keep hiding, keep pretending, until they relax completely. Then we'll use their own systems against them. Naveed's eyes widened. You mean sabotage? But we don't even understand their technology. Exactly, Elena said. They'll never expect us to use something we can't understand. And that's why it will work. Hours passed. The alien technicians continued their work, oblivious to the humans slipping in and out of the shadows within their own ship. Every movement was calculated, every step perfectly timed to avoid the rhythmic stomps of the guards. Jonas dismantled a simple human flashlight and combined its parts with bits of alien scrap they'd secretly stolen. The result was a crude signal disruptor that gave off just enough interference to confuse the station's sensors for 30 seconds. Marcus worked tirelessly to connect the manual thruster to the ship's damaged navigation array. It looked like a broken toy, but to alien scanners, it would appear as a sudden burst of desperate, random movement. Tara, though a medic, prepared small improvised smoke bombs using nothing but cleaning fluids and medkit supplies. Her hands trembled as she worked, but she didn't stop. Elena oversaw everything, her mind racing several steps ahead. Every detail mattered. Every tool, every scrap, every second. While the humans worked, the aliens above celebrated their easy victory. Overseer Kryvak watched from his towering command platform, confident and smug. The specimens remained contained. No resistance. As expected, he declared, begin transferring their vessel components to our laboratories. Shriksa, standing silently near the edge of the room, frowned. Something about this felt wrong. The humans had not moved, not even a struggle. They simply waited. She tried to speak again. Overseer, perhaps we should monitor them more closely. Their behavior is unusual. Kryvak silenced her with a raised claw. Unnecessary. They are beneath us. The other Vryloks hissed in agreement, their mandibles clattering in mocking laughter. Shriksa lowered her gaze, hiding her worry. Back on the horizon, Elena gave the final order. Tonight, we make our move, she whispered. No mistakes. No noise. If they so much as suspect we're capable of this, we're dead. The crew gathered their improvised tools and crouched near the maintenance hatch that led into the alien station's underbelly. Through a small viewport, they saw the endless blue glow of the alien corridors beyond, pulsing like a living creature's veins. Jonas muttered, feels like we're walking into the belly of a beast. Elena didn't disagree. Then let's make sure the beast chokes, she replied coldly. With a final nod, she opened the hatch. The humans slipped into the darkness, silent as ghosts. The first move of their game had begun. The Vryloks still believed they were predators. But soon, they would realize the truth. Humans would never prey. The alien station's maintenance tunnels were narrow, dark, and stiflingly hot. Steam hissed from glowing pipes that pulsed with blue energy, filling the air with a metallic, electric tang. The walls seemed alive, humming faintly beneath the crew's fingertips as they crawled forward on hands and knees. Captain Elena Voss led the way, her breathing steady despite the fear coiled in her gut. Behind her came Jonas, Marcus, Tara, and Novid, each moving silently, their faces slick with sweat. The tunnels vibrated with the rhythm of alien machinery. Every few seconds, they paused, listening for the heavy, insect-like clatter of Ryloth's patrols beyond the walls. One wrong sound, one mistake, and they'd be discovered. Marcus whispered from the rear, his voice barely audible over the hiss of steam. "Captain, I'm not sure how much longer these seals will hold. If one of these pipes bursts." Elena raised a hand for silence. Her sharp eyes scanned the faint blue glow ahead. "Keep moving," she ordered softly. "We're almost there." Beyond the tunnels, the alien soldiers carried on as usual, completely unaware that their prey was slipping through their fortress. The Vrylogs relied on scanners, cameras, and energy sensors to detect threats, but the humans had learned their blind spot, low-tech stealth. Their bodies didn't give off the same energy signatures as alien tech, and their improvised tools were too simple to register. To the Vrylogs, the tunnels were empty. At last, the humans reached a grated vent overlooking a massive chamber. The space was dominated by a glowing core, a vertical cylinder humming with power. Alien technicians scuttled around its base, their movements quick and precise as they monitored glowing glyphs. Strange floating drones drifted lazily overhead, scanning the room in slow, predictable arcs. Marcus's breath caught in his throat. "That's it, the secondary grid." He pointed to a cluster of crystalline nodes near the base of the core. "If we overload those, the section of the station connected to our docking bay will go dark, just long enough for us to move freely." Tara looked nervous. "Won't they notice right away?" "Oh, they'll notice," Marcus admitted, a crooked grin on his face. "But they'll think it's a malfunction, not sabotage." Elena's eyes never left the technicians below. "Jonas, you take out the drones quietly. Novid, you keep watch on the patrol routes. Marcus, you and I handle the overload." Jonas gripped his improvised signal disruptor, a crude weapon that looked more like a broken radio than a tool. "On your mark, Captain." The operation began like clockwork. Jonas slipped through the vent first, moving like a shadow. He timed his movements perfectly with the sweep of the drones. When one floated near, he pressed a small button, and the device emitted a silent burst of static. The drone froze midday, its lights flickering before it crashed silently to the ground. One down. Jonas moved quickly, repeating the process until the chamber was clear. The alien technicians never noticed, too focused on their glowing glyphs. Meanwhile, Elena and Marcus crept toward the core. Marcus pulled a small tool from his pack, a human multi-tool wrapped with scavenged alien wire. It was crude, but it worked. He opened a panel at the base of one crystalline node and began rewiring it with practiced precision. Elena kept watch, her heart pounding as alien voices echoed faintly through the corridors beyond. Every second felt like an eternity. Finally, Marcus whispered, "Done. When this blows, it'll look like a systems glitch." "Do it," Elena ordered. Marcus connected two final wires. A sharp crack of energy filled the air, and the crystalline nodes pulsed wildly before going dark. The entire chamber flickered, light stuttering like a dying star. The alien technicians froze, confused. "Error in secondary grid," one shouted in their harsh, clicking language. "Power loss detected." The room erupted into chaos as alarms wailed. Technicians scrambled to fix the malfunction, shouting orders at each other. None of them suspected sabotage. Elena allowed herself a small, grim smile. "Move out. Now." The humans slipped back into the tunnels just as the first squad of Vrylog's guard arrived. From their hiding place, they heard the aliens arguing, their voices full of anger and confusion. To the Vrylogs, it was nothing more than a technical failure. To the humans, it was a doorway opening. Marcus exhaled shakily, wiping sweat from his brow. "That worked better than I expected." Elena nodded. "Good. Now we head for the control access point. This was only step one. Tara's voice trembled. Captain, what if they figure out we're behind this? If they catch us? Elena cut her off sharply. They won't. They can't even imagine we'd try something like this. As far as they're concerned, we're still cowering in that docking bay, waiting to be dissected. Jonas chuckled darkly. Let's keep it that way. Up in the command chamber, Overseer Kryvak watched the alarm reports with irritation rather than concern. A systems glitch? He scoffed. Pathetic. I expect better maintenance from my technicians. Shrixer, standing quietly at the edge of the room, felt her unease grow. Overseer, with respect, these malfunctions are unusual. The timing, it's too precise. Kryvak's mandibles clattered in annoyance. Coincidence. The station is ancient. Flaws are expected. Shrixer wanted to argue, but fear kept her silent. Deep down, she sensed a dangerous intelligence at work, something her leader refused to see. Back in the tunnels, Elena and her crew reached a junction where 3 passages met. Marcus knelt, sketching quick marks on the metal floor to record the path they'd taken. Naveed pressed his ear against a wall, listening intently. They are shifting patrols, he whispered. We have maybe 5 minutes before they sweep this section. Elena's expression hardened. Then we keep moving. Next target, the control hub. Jonas cracked his knuckles. Time to hit them where it hurts. Elena's voice dropped to a whisper, cold and certain. This was just the opening move. Now, we take the board. The crew vanished into the shadows once more, leaving behind a station full of aliens scrambling to fix a problem they didn't understand, and couldn't even imagine was caused by the very creatures they had dismissed as harmless. The game of survival had officially begun, and for the first time, the Vryloks were unknowingly losing. The alien station trembled with activity. Alarms howled through its metallic corridors like a living creature screaming in pain. Blue emergency lights pulsed wildly, casting jagged shadows across the walls as Vrylok soldiers scurried in every direction. Their sharp limbs clattered like steel claws on stone, their guttural voices rising in confusion. In the command chamber, Overseer Kryvak towered above the chaos, his yellow eyes blazing with fury. "Report!" he roared, his voice rattling the crystal structures above. "Why does my station continue to fail?" A technician trembled beneath his gaze. Secondary grid failure spreading. Overseer. Power fluctuations across 4 sectors. It makes no sense. There's no external breach, no enemy signature detected. Shrixer, standing cautiously at the chamber's edge, felt her unease sharpen into dread. This wasn't random failure. It was precise, targeted, almost like strategy. She stepped forward, her voice hesitant but urgent. Overseer, we must consider the possibility that this is deliberate. Perhaps the humans. Kryvak whirled on her, mandibles snapping. Enough of this nonsense. Those creatures lack the intelligence for sabotage. They are primitives, nothing more than soft animals. He slammed a clawed fist into the console, sending a burst of static across the holographic displays. Find the fault and repair it. Now! The soldiers clattered their limbs in obedience, scattering like ants to obey his orders. Shrixer lowered her head, but inside her mind a single terrifying thought grew louder. What if they weren't wrong about the humans? Deep within the station's maintenance tunnels, the humans crouched in silence, waiting. Captain Elena Voss listened carefully as the chaos above echoed through the walls. Every alarm, every panicked alien shout was proof that their plan was working. "They're confused," Naveed whispered, grinning despite the danger. "They still think this is some kind of mechanical failure." "Good," Elena said. "That means we're still invisible." Marcus, crouched beside a panel he'd rewired, gave a quick nod. "This next step will hit them hard. Once I trigger it, the station systems will crash for 60 seconds. Not long, but long enough." Jonas checked his improvised smoke bombs and magnetic clamps, his face grim. 60 seconds isn't a lot of time. Elena's eyes burned with cold determination. It's all we need. Above, in the docking bay, several Vrylok's guards stood watch over the horizon. To them, the human ship was nothing but dead cargo, a relic waiting to be dissected. Their attention was half on their duty, half on the alarms blaring through their comms. Then, without warning, gravity failed. The guards let out startled hisses as their bodies floated upward, limbs flailing in panic. Their weapons drifted from their claws, spinning helplessly in the zero-gravity chaos. Crates, tools, and debris whirled through the air like shrapnel. The horizon's hatch burst open. Out of the darkness came Elena and her crew, calm and ready. While the aliens thrashed wildly, the humans walked with perfect control, their boots magnetically clamped to the floor. Marcus had built the magnetic boots out of scavenged metal plates and scraps of wiring. Simple, crude, but devastatingly effective. Jonas grinned fiercely as he kicked a flailing alien aside. "Guess they've never heard of magnets," he muttered. Elena's voice was sharp and commanding. "Stay focused. Control rooms ahead." In the command chamber, Kryvek's rage turned to disbelief as reports flooded in. Gravity systems offline. Multiple sectors unresponsive. Unidentified interference detected near the docking bay. Shrix's mandibles twitched in shock. "Overseer, the humans. It has to be them." Kryvek's eyes widened. For the first time, doubt pierced his arrogance. "Impossible," he growled, though the words sounded hollow. "They cannot even comprehend our systems." Yet somehow, Shrixa cut in, her voice sharp now, "they are beating us with tools we can't even detect. We assumed they were weak because they lack our technology. But what if that simplicity is their greatest strength?" Kryvek froze, realizing the horrifying truth. The very thing that had made the humans seem primitive had also made them unpredictable. Back in the docking bay, Elena's crew moved like a coordinated strike team. Jonas tossed a smoke bomb into a corridor, the thick white cloud disorienting the aliens. Naveed planted a signal disruptor on a nearby console, scrambling communication so no distress call could escape this sector. Marcus sprinted to a terminal, his hands flying across a crude interface he'd hacked together. Alien glyphs flashed wildly, completely incomprehensible to the humans. But Marcus didn't need to understand them. He only needed to overload them. 30 seconds, he shouted. Elena's voice was calm despite the chaos. "Jonas, secure the path ahead. Tara, guard Marcus. Naveed, watch our flank." The team obeyed instantly, their training and desperation blending into perfect unity. Above, Kryvek's fury boiled over. "Deploy all soldiers to the docking bay," he roared. "Crush them before they reach the core." But the order came too late. The lights across the station died. For a heartbeat, there was total silence and darkness. Then a new glow emerged, the emergency light, bathing everything in deep red. The station systems were crippled, exactly as Marcus had planned. The humans marched through the chaos, unstoppable shadows against the crimson glow. Kryvek slammed a claw into the console. "How? How are they doing this?" Shrixa whispered the answer, though no one wanted to hear it. "They are thinking differently. They are adapting." Marcus triggered the final overload. The Horizon's engines roared back to life for the first time since capture. Alien soldiers, still struggling in zero gravity, shrieked in panic as the ship's thrusters ignited. Elena's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. "Move. We're leaving. Now." The crew sprinted up the boarding ramp, their boots clanging against the metal. Behind them, the station burned with confusion and fear. As the hatch sealed shut, Jonas looked back through a viewport, watching alien figures scramble helplessly. He smirked. Guess they're not so advanced after all. Elena didn't smile. Her eyes were cold, calculating. "This isn't over," she said. "They know we're dangerous now." The Horizon detached from the docking clamps and drifted free, its engines humming. But before they could escape fully, a furious roar echoed through the comms. "Humans!" Kryvek's voice thundered. "You dare challenge the Vryloks?" Elena stared straight ahead, her hand steady on the controls. "No," she said quietly, her voice almost a whisper. "We dare outthink you." With a final burst from the thrusters, the Horizon shot into the void, leaving a crippled alien station behind and a humiliated overseer screaming in rage.